David was a very busy man. He was a millionaire and the CEO of a big company. He lived in a big city with tall buildings and fast cars. Every day, David worked long hours. He had many important meetings and made many big decisions. People respected him because he was smart and successful. But David often felt alone. His life was full of work, but he had little time for friends or family. One rainy morning, David decided to take a break from his busy schedule. He wanted to have a cup of coffee before a meeting. He went to a small coffee shop in a quiet part of the city. The coffee shop was simple, with wooden tables and soft music playing. It was different from the fancy places David usually visited. He liked the calm feeling there. As David waited for his coffee, he noticed a man sitting by the window. The man looked tired but kind. Next to him was a little girl, about 6 years old. She had big brown eyes and a bright smile. The man was talking to her softly, making her laugh. David watched them for a moment. There was something warm and gentle about their small family. The man's name was Mike. Mike was a single dad, worked as a delivery driver, a job that was not easy. Every day, Mike woke up early to go to work. He earned just enough money to pay the bills and buy food. Mike loved his daughter Lily very much. Since Lily's mother had passed away 2 years before, Mike had taken care of her all by himself. It was hard for Mike, but he never complained. He wanted to give Lily a good life. Lily was a happy child. She missed her mother, but found joy in little things. She loved drawing pictures, playing with her toys, and spending time with her dad. Today, Lily was excited because she had drawn a new picture and wanted to show her dad. Mike smiled as he looked at her drawing of a big sun and colorful flowers. David finally got his coffee and sat down at a table nearby. He tried to read the newspaper but kept glancing at Mike and Lily. He felt a strange feeling in his heart. David realized that even with all his money and power, he didn't have what this small family had: love and closeness. He remembered his own childhood. David had grown up in a rich family, but his parents were often busy with work. He didn't have much time with them. He had learned to be independent early on, but missed having a real family connection. Mike noticed David watching them. He felt a little nervous because he was not used to being stared at. But then David smiled warmly and nodded. Mike nodded back, feeling a small relief. Lily, curious about the man, waved at David. David waved back and smiled even more. After a few minutes, Mike's phone rang. He looked at it and sighed. It was a call from his boss. He had to leave soon to make a delivery. He packed his things quickly. Lily looked a little sad because she wanted to stay and play. Mike hugged her and said, "I will be back soon, Lily. Be good, okay?" Lily nodded and hugged him tightly. David stood up and walked over to Mike. "Excuse me, David," said politely. "I hope I'm not bothering you. Just wanted to say you have a beautiful daughter." Mike smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir. She means the world to me." David's smile grew. "I can see that. It's not easy to be a single parent, is it?" Mike shook his head. "It's hard, but I love her more than anything." David looked around the coffee shop. "Would you mind if I joined you for a moment? I'd like to hear more about your story." Mike hesitated, but then nodded. "Sure, why not?" They sat down together. David introduced himself, and Mike did the same. They talked about work, life, and family. David learned that Mike had faced many challenges, but never gave up. Mike heard about David's busy life and the loneliness that sometimes came with success. Lily ran around happily between their talks. She showed David her toys and even gave him a drawing. David was touched by her kindness and innocence. For the first time in a long time, he felt a warmth inside, a feeling he had almost forgotten. David realized this meeting was special. He didn't know how, but he wanted to know Mike and Lily better. He wanted to be part of something real and meaningful, not just business deals and money. As they finished their coffee, David asked Mike, "Would you like to have lunch sometime?" "My treat." Mike smiled widely. "That would be nice. Thank you." They agreed to meet again. David left the coffee shop feeling hopeful. Maybe this small family could bring something new into his life. Maybe love and friendship were waiting for him in unexpected places. Mike watched David leave and felt curious. He hoped this new friend would help him and Lily in ways he couldn't yet understand. Lily skipped happily beside her dad. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew she wanted to spend more time with the kind man she just met. That rainy morning at the coffee shop was the start of a story that would change their lives forever. David, the millionaire CEO, and Mike, the single dad, were about to discover something much more valuable than money. Family. After their first meeting at the coffee shop, David and Mike began to see each other more often.
Ow.
David was surprised by how much he looked forward to these visits. It was different from his usual life full of meetings, emails, and business deals. With Mike and Lily, he found a kind of peace and happiness he hadn't felt in a long time. One Saturday morning, David arrived at Mike's small apartment with a basket full of groceries. Mike opened the door, surprised but happy to see him. "David, you didn't have to do this," Mike said, smiling. "I know, but I wanted to help." "I figured we could cook something together," David replied. Lily ran to the door, her eyes bright with excitement. "David, you brought food? Can we bake cookies?" she asked eagerly. David laughed, feeling warmth in his chest. "Sure, Lily. Let's bake the best cookies ever." Inside the small kitchen, the three of them worked together. Mike measured the flour, David mixed the dough, and Lily carefully placed the chocolate chips. It was a simple moment, but for David, it was something new and special. He was not used to doing things like this. His life had been about big decisions, in serious business, but here he was, laughing and enjoying time with a little girl and her dad. As the cookies baked in the oven, they sat around the small dining table. Mike talked about his struggles as a single parent, told David how hard it was to raise Lily alone. Sometimes he felt tired and worried about their future, but he never stopped loving her and doing his best. David listened carefully about his own life and how lonely it sometimes felt despite all his success. Mike's honesty made him realize that true happiness was not about money or power. It was about connection and love. Lily came back with a drawing she had made. It was a picture of the three of them holding hands under a bright sun. "This is us," she said proudly. David looked at the drawing and smiled. "That's a wonderful picture, Lily. You're very talented." Mike watched David's gentle way with Lily. He was grateful to see how much David cared. Mike had been afraid at first. He wasn't sure if someone like David could really understand their world. Now, he felt hope. In the weeks that followed, David became a regular visitor. Sometimes he helped Mike fix things around the apartment. Other times, he took Lily to the park. Slowly, they became like a family. David was careful not to rush anything. He knew Mike and Lily had been through a lot, and trust took time. One day, David invited Mike and Lily to his home. Mike was nervous about visiting such a large and fancy place. He worried he wouldn't fit in. But David welcomed them warmly. The house was big and filled with light. Lily's eyes widened as she explored the rooms. David showed them his study where he worked. Mike noticed the many books and photos of people David cared about.
Oh.
It was different from the busy city and small apartment Mike knew. That evening, they had dinner together. David cooked a simple meal, and they talked about their dreams. Lily said she wanted to be an artist when she grew up. Mike hoped to find a better job to give her a good life. David shared his wish to have a family and to not be alone anymore. The three of them laughed and enjoyed the evening. For David, it was a chance to forget the stress of his job and just be with people who made him happy. As time passed, the bond between David, Mike, and Lily grew stronger. Lily felt safe and loved. She began to smile more and sleep better at night. Mike noticed a change in his daughter and in himself. He felt lighter and more hopeful. David started to think differently about his life. He realized that success was not just about money or status. It was about caring for others and being cared for in return. One afternoon, while sitting in the park, Lily asked David, "Why do you spend so much time with us?" David smiled and said, "Because you and your dad are special to me. You make me happy." Lily looked up at him with big eyes. "I like having you around. You're fun." David felt his heart warm. He never expected to feel this way, but he knew it was real. Mike watched the two of them and smiled quietly. He was glad David was in their lives. Mike still had worries about the future, but he also had a new friend who cared. One day Mike invited David to a small community event. It was a celebration for families and neighbors. David felt out of place at first, but he joined in. He saw how Mike was respected and loved by the people around him. David also saw how much Lily was part of the community. That night, as they walked home, David said to Mike, "I'm glad you invited me. This is a wonderful place." Mike nodded. "It's home for us. Maybe someday it can be home for you too." David thought about that. Could he leave his busy life behind and have a real family? The idea both scared and excited him. Their friendship was no longer just about visits and help. It was becoming something deeper. David was learning to open his heart. Mike was learning to trust again. And Lily was learning what it felt like to have a family that cared. This part of their story was about growing closer, finding hope, and starting to heal from past pain. David, Mike, and Lily were no longer just three people. They were becoming a family in the truest sense. One calm afternoon, David, Mike, and Lily were spending time together at Mike's apartment. The sun was shining through the windows, and the room was filled with soft, warm light. Lily sat on the floor playing with her dolls, while David and Mike sat nearby, talking quietly about their plans for the weekend. Lily loved having David around. He was kind and patient, and he always made her laugh. She liked how he listened to her stories and joined in her games. To her, David was more than just a visitor. He was someone special. As the afternoon went on, Lily suddenly looked up at David with a serious expression. She put down her doll and walked over to him. "David," she said softly, "you're my real mom." David froze. The words stopped. Him in his tracks. He blinked, unsure what to say. Mike, who was sitting across the room, also looked surprised. He didn't expect Lily to say something so strong and clear. David's heart raced. He felt a mixture of emotions, surprise, joy, and something he couldn't explain. He looked at Lily, her eyes wide and honest. She wasn't joking or confused. To her, David was a mother figure, someone who cared for her like her own family. Mike smiled gently, feeling touched by the moment. He understood that Lily had found love and comfort in David's presence. For a little girl who had lost her mother, this was a powerful thing. David slowly reached out and hugged Lily. "That means so much to me, Lily," he said softly.
Oh, yeah.
"I'm very happy you feel that way." Lily hugged him back tightly. "Make me feel safe," she said, "and you always play with me." David looked at Mike, his eyes full of emotion. "I never thought I could feel this close to a family," he said. "But now, I want to be here for you both." Mike nodded, understanding that this was a turning point. Their relationship was changing. It was no longer just friendship or kindness. It was becoming something real, a family. After that day, David found himself thinking more about his role in their lives. He wanted to support Mike in raising Lily. He wanted to be the person she could count on, like a parent. But David also felt uncertain. He was used to control and success in his work, but family was different. It was about emotions, patience, and love. He worried if he was ready for this new challenge. Mike noticed David's thoughts. One evening, they talked openly. "David," Mike said, "we don't expect you to be perfect. Lily just needs someone who cares, someone who will be there." David smiled. "Thank you, Mike. I want to do this. I want to be part of your family." They agreed to take things slowly. They would spend more time together and build trust. David promised to be honest about his feelings and listen to what Mike and Lily needed. Lily, too, seemed happier than ever. She loved having David as part of her life. She would tell her friends at school about him, calling him my real mom. It made her feel proud and loved. One day, while playing in the park, Lily asked David, "Do you think you can stay with us forever?" David knelt down and looked into her eyes. "I hope so, Lily. I want to be here for you and your dad." Little girl smiled brightly. "I'm glad." As their bond grew, David also started to learn about Mike's struggles. Mike often worked long hours and worried about money. David decided to help quietly. He gave Mike advice on managing finances and even helped find better job opportunities. Mike was grateful, but never wanted to feel like he owed David anything. Their friendship was built on respect and trust. One weekend, David took Mike and Lily on a trip to a nearby lake. It was a simple day, a picnic, swimming, and laughter. For Lily, it was the happiest day she had in a long time. Watching them together, David felt a deep sense of belonging. He realized that family wasn't about blood or money. It was about love, support, and sharing life's moments. However, David also faced moments of doubt. Sometimes, when he was alone at night, he worried if he was good enough. He wondered if he could truly become a parent figure to Lily, or if Mike would accept him fully. Mike, too, had his worries. He wanted to protect Lily's heart. He worried that if David's busy life took over, Lily might be hurt again. But they all knew that love was worth the risk. One evening, after dinner, they sat together on the couch. Lily was sleepy, but happy. David held her hand and said, "You are very special, Lily. You taught me how to love again." Lily smiled and yawned. "I love you, David." Those words filled David's heart with joy. He knew that this moment was real. He had found a family, and they had found him. Their journey was just beginning. But they were ready to face the future together as a new kind of family built on love, trust, and hope. After that special afternoon when Lily called David her real mom, things between David, Mike, and Lily changed in many ways. The three of them began to understand more about what family meant, not just people who are related by blood, but people who love and care for each other deeply. David felt a new sense of responsibility. He wanted to do more than just visit or help out sometimes. He wanted to be someone Mike and Lily could truly rely on, someone who was there no matter what. But with this desire came many questions and worries inside him. One evening, after a long day at work, David sat alone in his big house. The walls were quiet and empty. He thought about Mike and Lily. He thought about his life before he met them, a life full of work, but also loneliness. Now he felt a deep need to be better, to give more. But he also felt unsure. David had spent many years building his career. He had been focused on numbers, profits, and strategies. Now he had to learn about emotions, patience, and the needs of a little girl and her dad. It was a big change, and sometimes it scared him. David wondered, can I really be a parent figure? Am I ready to open my heart fully? What if I fail? At the same time, Mike faced his own fears. He was happy to have David's support, but he worried about what it meant for his family. Mike knew that David's life was very different from theirs. Would David stay? Would he understand their struggles? One afternoon, Mike and David sat in the small living room of Mike's apartment. Mike looked serious but kind. "David, I want you to know how much Lily and I appreciate you, but sometimes I worry about what this all means. I don't want Lily to get hurt if things change." David nodded, understanding Mike's feelings. "I feel the same way, Mike. This is new for me too, but I want to be honest with you and Lily. I want to try, and I want us to take things one step at a time." They agreed that trust and patience were the most important things. They decided to keep talking openly, sharing their feelings and fears. It was not easy, but they wanted to build something strong and real. Lily, meanwhile, was growing more confident and happy. She loved having David around. She called him Mom sometimes, and David never corrected her. To him, those words were a sign of the bond they were creating. One day, Lily asked David, "Why did you come into our life?" David smiled softly, "Because I was looking for something real. I had a busy life but felt lonely. When I met you and your dad, I found a family. You helped me feel happy and loved again." Lily hugged him tightly. "I'm glad you are here." As their lives became more connected, David started to make changes. He began to spend less time at the office and more time with Mike and Lily. He took weekends off and joined them on simple adventures, trips to the park, visits to the zoo, or just playing games at home. Mike noticed these changes and felt grateful. He saw David's efforts and knew that this was not just a passing phase. David was becoming part of their family. One evening, after a fun day out, they sat together in Mike's small apartment. Lily was tired, but smiling. David looked at Mike and said, "I want to do something for you both. I want to help make life easier." Mike was hesitant. "We don't want charity, David. We just want your friendship." David shook his head. "This is not charity. It's family helping family. Let me support you." Over the next weeks, David helped Mike find a better job. He also helped with bills and school supplies for Lily. But more than money, David gave time and love. Sometimes when David was at home alone, he thought about how much he had changed. He was no longer just a CEO focused on success. He was a man learning to love and care for a family. But the journey was not without struggles. David sometimes felt tired or unsure. Mike worried about what the future held. Lily missed her mother sometimes and had moments of sadness. One quiet night, David sat with Lily, talking softly. "It's okay to miss your mom, Lily," he said. "She will always be in your heart." Lily nodded, tears in her eyes. "Wish she was here." David held her close. "We're here for you. We will love you and keep you safe." Mike joined them, and together they sat quietly, feeling the strength of their bond. They were learning that family was about being there for each other, in good times and bad. It was about love, patience, and forgiveness. David, Mike, and Lily faced the future with hope. They knew challenges would come, but they believed in the family they were building, one made of love, trust, and understanding. Let me know when you want me to continue with part 5, or if you want any changes. David, Mike, and Lily had been growing closer for many months. Their small family had faced many challenges, but together they learned what real love and care meant. David, once a man busy only with work and money, had found something far more important: a family that needed him and loved him back. One bright morning, they all sat at Mike's kitchen table, drinking coffee and eating breakfast. Lily was telling a funny story about her school day, her eyes shining with happiness. Laughed along, feeling joy he had never known before. Mike watched them with a smile, feeling grateful for how far they had come. David thought about how much his life had changed since meeting Mike and Lily. He was no longer just a millionaire CEO. He was a part of a real family, with real feelings and real connections. He had learned to put love before work, to listen more, and to be patient. That day, David decided to share his feelings with Mike and Lily. "I want you both to know how much you mean to me," he said softly. "You have changed my life in ways I never expected. I want to be here for you always." Mike reached out and took David's hand. "We feel the same way, David. You are family to us now." Lily smiled and jumped into David's lap. "You're the best mom ever," she said, hugging him tightly. David hugged her back, tears in his eyes. He realized that family was not about where you come from or what you have. It was about the people you love and who love you back. Over the next months, their bond grew even stronger. David helped Mike find a better job, one with steady hours and good pay. Mike felt more secure knowing they could provide a good home for Lily. David also took time off to be with them, going to Lily's school events and helping with homework. Lily blossomed in this loving environment. She felt safe and happy. Laughter filled the house. Her smile grew brighter every day. David's friends and colleagues noticed the change in him. He was kinder, more patient, and happier. He told them about Mike and Lily, sharing how much they meant to him. Some were surprised, but David didn't care. He had found something no money could buy. One evening, 3 of them sat by the fireplace, sharing stories and dreams. David talked about wanting to start a family of his own one day. It's not just through business success, but through love and connection. Mike dreamed of traveling with Lily and giving her a life full of happiness. Lily dreamed of painting big, colorful pictures and making everyone smile. They knew life would not always be easy. There would be hard days and worries. But they also knew they had each other. David realized that meeting Mike and Lily was the best thing that ever happened to him. They showed him the true meaning of family and love. In that moment, with the warm fire glowing and the people he loved close by, David felt complete. he was no longer just a millionaire CEO. He was a father figure and a part of a family that had healed each other's hearts. Their story was proof that sometimes the most unexpected meetings can change our lives forever. That love can grow in the simplest places. And that family is not just about blood, but about heart. Together, David, Mike, and Lily face the future with hope, love, and a promise to always be there for one another, no matter what.